Most people think silence is safety. They believe that if they don't complain, don't negotiate, don't question management, don't test the market, nothing bad will happen. If they stay quiet, work hard, and avoid attention, they'll be protected. Stability will protect them. Loyalty will protect them. Being low maintenance will protect them. But silence is not safety. It is slow financial erosion disguised as maturity. Picture a 28-year-old living in Dallas, or Rotterdam, or Manchester. Educated, employed, responsible, earning $70,000 a year in the United States, or 45,000 euros somewhere in Western Europe. After taxes, that becomes roughly $4,300 a month in the US, perhaps 2,700 euros in Europe. It feels stable. Not rich, not struggling, just fine. Now subtract reality. Rent takes $1,900. A car payment absorbs $450. Insurance adds $200. Groceries climb to $500. Utilities and internet consume $280. Student loans require $400. A phone plan costs $90. Streaming services and small subscriptions quietly remove another $80. Before anything unexpected happens, over $3,900 is already gone. That leaves around $400. $400 between stable and fragile. No reckless spending, no luxury watches, no exotic vacations. Just normal life. A middle-class life. This person is quiet at work. They meet deadlines, they avoid conflict. During performance reviews, they nod. When raises are discussed, they accept what is offered. 2%, maybe 3%. They believe silence keeps them safe. But inflation does not respect silence. If rent rises 6%, groceries 4%, insurance 8%, and salary rises 2%, stability becomes regression. Let's use plain math. A 2% raise on $70,000 equals $1,400 per year before tax. After tax, maybe $1,000. That's about $83 per month. But if rent increases from $1,900 to $2,020, that alone costs $120 more per month. The raise did not improve life. It masked a loss. This is how financial decline happens in developed economies. Not dramatically, not through collapse, through slow purchasing power erosion. Silence feels professional in the office, but financially, it compounds backward. Now widen the lens. In many parts of the United States and Europe, job mobility drives wage growth more than loyalty does. New hires are often brought in at market rates. Existing employees are adjusted minimally to protect payroll margins. If market rate for a role shifts from $70,000 to $85,000 over 4 years, but the employee stays and receives 2 to 3% annual increases, they may end up at $77,000 instead of $85,000. That $8,000 annual gap compounds. Over 10 years, that's $80,000 in gross income difference. Invested at 6% annually, the gap grows far larger. Silence creates a widening spread between market value and actual income. But why do people stay silent? Because social discomfort feels more dangerous than financial drift. Negotiation triggers anxiety. Switching jobs introduces uncertainty. Asking for more risks rejection. Humans are wired to avoid social threat. Being disliked at work feels immediate. Inflation feels abstract. So the brain chooses short-term emotional comfort over long-term financial optimization. This is not laziness. It is psychology. The same person who hesitates to ask for a $12,000 raise because it feels confrontational will casually accept $12,000 in car financing because it feels normal. Debt feels quiet. Negotiation feels loud. But financially, they are opposites. Under-earning by $10,000 per year for 10 years is a $100,000 gross difference. If invested at 6% over 25 years, that single decade of silence could represent several $100,000 in lost future value. And this is where the system flaw hides. Employers are not designed to maximize your lifetime earnings. They are designed to manage cost while maintaining productivity. If you never test your value in the open market, the system assumes you are priced correctly. It is not personal. It is structural. Imagine never refinancing a mortgage when interest rates fall. The bank will not call and insist on lowering your payment. You must initiate. Income works the same way. Financially intelligent individuals understand this dynamic. They do not yell, they do not threaten, they do not burn bridges. They measure, they observe salary bands, they update skills deliberately. They interview occasionally, not out of desperation, but for price discovery. They separate emotional loyalty from financial strategy. And here is the uncomfortable math. Two professionals start at $70,000 at age 27. One remains silent, receives modest raises, and reaches $85,000 by 37. The other negotiates once and switches roles once, reaching $105,000 by 37. That $20,000 annual difference, invested at 6% for 30 years, becomes over $1 million. $1 million. Not from hustle culture, not from cryptocurrency speculation, from refusing to let silence dictate pricing. Now consider lifestyle pressure. Middle-class life in the US and Europe is expensive to maintain. Housing consumes disproportionate income. Childcare in many cities rivals rent. Healthcare costs in America continue to rise. Energy costs in Europe fluctuate unpredictably. When income growth lags, but lifestyle expectations remain constant, debt fills the space. Credit cards expand quietly. Car loans stretch to 72 months. Buy now, pay later becomes normalized. Nothing collapses. There is no crisis. Just a subtle shift from ownership to obligation. Silence at work limits income growth. Limited income growth increases reliance on credit. Credit payments further restrict flexibility. The loop tightens. 10 years later, the individual is 38. Mortgage payments are higher, childcare costs exist. Retirement savings are behind schedule. They feel pressure, but they cannot identify the moment things went wrong. There was no dramatic failure, only prolonged silence. Another psychological layer emerges here: identity. Many people equate stability with virtue. Staying at one company for years feels responsible. Not negotiating feels humble. But financial markets reward mobility, skill expansion, and periodic recalibration. Stability without evaluation becomes stagnation, and stagnation reduces leverage. Real safety does not come from silence. It comes from optionality. Optionality means having skills that are marketable, having savings that provide runway, having awareness of compensation benchmarks. It means understanding that your time is an asset priced by supply and demand. When individuals check their market value every few years, they are not being disloyal. They are conducting price discovery. That awareness alone changes negotiating power. Now step further into the future. Retirement systems in many Western countries are under strain. Aging populations increase pressure on pension structures. Social Security in the United States replaces only a portion of pre-retirement income. Private savings fill the gap. If earnings stagnate for a decade because silence prevented recalibration, retirement contributions also stagnate. Compound growth loses fuel. Time amplifies the early decisions. The most dangerous financial risks are not dramatic. They are invisible. Silence is one of them. It feels safe because nothing explodes. There is no confrontation, no public failure, no dramatic job change. But 5 years later, purchasing power shrinks. 10 years later, wealth gaps widen. 20 years later, options narrow. And then resentment appears. I worked hard. I stayed loyal. I did everything right. But the economic system does not operate on effort alone. It operates on negotiation, leverage, and pricing. This is not a call for aggression. It is a call for clarity. Financially aware individuals ask simple questions. What is my current market rate? How has inflation affected my purchasing power? What is the cost of staying versus the cost of moving? They tolerate temporary discomfort to avoid permanent erosion. They understand that silence might preserve short-term comfort, but can destroy long-term compounding. And compounding is neutral. It rewards action. It punishes delay. In developed economies, income growth rarely accelerates by accident. It is usually the result of deliberate recalibration. So the next time staying quiet feels like the safest choice, pause. Calculate the cost of 5 more years at your current trajectory. Estimate the impact of a single negotiation or role shift.
Measure the difference in retirement contributions. Run the numbers without emotion. Safety is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of leverage. Silence is not protection. It is drift. And drift, over decades, reshapes financial outcomes more than any single market crash ever will. If this helped you see your financial situation more clearly, without hype, without pressure, consider subscribing for more calm, analytical perspectives like this.